You can make colors do what you want them to do, but you've got to give them a chance to do it. And it's like everything else. Colors don't operate by themselves. They have to be motivated. Sketching doesn't speak for itself. You got to do it. And so what I do, I like to become a part of what is going on to the extent that it brings me such relaxation. I tune everything else out when I'm sketching or painting or drawing. I hear nothing else. And I'm not concerned about how it looks to anybody. I'm only concerned with what relief it brings me. And am I projecting me? Am I getting out of me on the paper or on the tab or on the print that which I want? If that comes out like that, fine.
If you look in the dictionary under Southern Gentleman, Doug Wilder's picture would be there. When he was talking to you, he wasn't looking to who he's going to talk to next. If the President of the United States walked in, it wouldn't make any difference. He was talking to you, and you were the most important person at that time.
He was fearless. Fearless in terms of court. He understood the law, but he understood what was at stake. Governor Wilder taught me that respect for people and clients and a love for the law, and that when you go into the well as a lawyer, you do your very best. And everybody in that courtroom should know, win or lose, a lawyer was in here today.
He is a very caring and loving and gentle person, but I would never, ever come up short from his expectations.
200, 300 years from now, he's going to be in the history books. He doesn't boast about it. He's not going to come up to you and talk about that. But he knows that from where he came from, he has climbed Mount Everest ×2. And he has every reason to be proud and happy and satisfied with what he's been able to do with his one life.
And that's one of the things that I like about art, that you paint what you see. You paint what you feel. You paint it today and you look back at it tomorrow and you say, wait a minute, this is not what I want. But you can change it. Art to me is not just life itself, but it's the continuation in one form or another. It never ends.
Lawrence Douglas Wilder was born in the Church Hill neighborhood of Richmond, Virginia. Although it was segregated, it proved to be a foundation for life that he would never forget.
I'm from Church Hill, but one of the things that I've always remembered was the value that was placed on education. People would tell you, people who didn't have education, said, don't make the mistake we made. Stay in school, don't drop out. You have to stay in school.
He was always outspoken, and he was a good student. And the students liked him. But in high school, you always had your little special group you were around with. But most of the people liked him. They are always aggressive, always concerned about people. This should be like this, and this should be like that. We shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't have to do that. But that was his nature.
He really loves people. That's his engine. I think that engagement is something that you just can't buy. It's not in a bottle. It just comes with a gift and a talent of God. Everything he did, I think, was a part of building to not so much a sense of ambition, but some sense, and I think through his mother, because he talked about his mother a lot.
Is there one person in your life that you sit back and remember now who helped equip you?
Oh, my mother, unquestionably, without having to debate that. She believed in the educating of the mind, but the use of it, not just to stand still, but to move and to prosper and to better your condition.
My mother was my guiding light. Her English was impeccable. My mother used to always say, you can do anything you want to do. You can be anything you want to be. And never let anyone tell you you can't. She was hopeful for us. Her hopefulness was such that she knew that women were going to be held back a little bit anyway, but not men. I think she could see in me being a young black man, but the hopefulness would be that I could be anything that I wanted to be if I worked at it. Of course, you also remember the aspects of segregation. At 25th Street, that was the cutoff line. 34th Street was the cutoff line. Lee Street was the cutoff line as far as the east is concerned. And on the west, 9 Mile Road was the cutoff line. So which means whites lived outside those areas. Don't go too far outside of those areas. That's why the trip to New York meant so much, because I could see the change. Decided I was going to get a paper route. Afro had been coming out, it was doing well. So I was selling afros to everybody. They put on a prize to say first female and the first young man that sell more papers than anyone else in Virginia will get a free trip to New York. I said, well, I'm going to win that. And I sold more papers than any boy in Virginia. So we got a 3-day trip to New York. That meant so much to me to know that there was another life. The bigger thing was that I saw integration, which I had never, ever seen before. And I said, well, these people are acting as if they belong together. And at 13 years of age, it made me recognize that I wasn't black or white, I was an American.
In 1948, President Harry Truman signed Executive Order 9981, desegregating the armed forces. Wilder's experience during the Korean War would also help form his thoughts on what it means to be equal.
The Army was integrated, no question. It had just become integrated. And that was my first real interaction, sleeping with whites, eating at the same tables, et cetera, et cetera. And I found out that they had as many inquiries as I did. It was really at that time that I found out our commonality, how the only thing that made us different as such was skin color. And that hit me hard. That's when race to me started disappearing. Well, when I graduated from law school, I was just anxious to get started. I wanted to take the bar. The record at the time, only one black person per year would pass the Virginia State Bar. And I said, well, then I'll have to be that one.
The best way I can describe Governor Wilder as a lawyer is that his timing is impeccable. When he cross-examines someone, just that very moment, he just knew exactly the piercing question, never rude, never overbearing or badgering a witness, but always getting to that solid point where jurors, you can tell their eyebrows raised and they're focused in because they knew this is the most important part.
Law is what you demand it to be. The law doesn't exist to punish, it exists to guide. That's what really got me into politics.
There's very few people who could have taken the challenge that he took when everyone said, it's just simply impossible to win as a black man in Virginia. This was the home 20 to 30 years previously of massive resistance where people closed the schools rather than to have African American kids in the schools. And here all of a sudden it's Doug Wilder winning. He broke a barrier that no one thought could be broken in Virginia. That's what's pretty remarkable just to begin with. But then after that, at every point, he had accomplishments. And then when he became governor, the first elected African-American governor in Virginia in 1989, that was not only a national story, it was an international story, largely because people were coming here to say, could this happen in America? Could this be the first African-American elected governor? And then, but beyond that, could it happen in Virginia? Because almost everyone said, well, Virginia, of all places, is not going to be the first. And Doug Wilder had the confidence and the ability, beyond the confidence, to say, no, I'm going to put myself in front of the people, and I believe Virginians are going to vote for me. And they did.
He blazed the trail, not just for minority politicians. He blazed the trail nationally. That is something that history should record. It shouldn't just say, oh, he's the first black elected governor. As significant as that is, there are the waves that are generated by what he did that has enabled other minority politicians to get elected in places where you wouldn't really expect them to win.
It wasn't that long ago when Douglas Wilder basked in the glory of becoming the nation's first elected black governor. Is Virginia's governor the new hope for the Democrats to recapture the national spotlight? The story next on The World Today.
Art to me is allowing the individual to be whatever that individual wants to be in that form. And you might see something there that I don't see. I might see something there, and that's what I think the real aficionado appreciates about art. It's everything to everybody in different forms. That's a picture of me with a horse that I used to ride a lot. You're free. And I used to ride on the beach over on the Eastern Shore. And it was so pristine, no development, no houses, and just open beach. And if you have a communication with the horse, it's you and he and nature. When I'm painting, what it means to me that I'm putting onto print or to paper that which I feel, that which I see. I see more orchestration of color, meaning orchestration of thought. If your mind is going in a certain direction, does it stay in that direction? Does that color stay the same or does it change? Does it break off? And I call this one infinity. But if you look at it closely enough, you'll see that no color or no line ever ends. No line never ends. It fades. It even might appear to disappear. But you can't see any disconnection of any of the lines. When I look out here at the water, the sun sets here at this place. Every day it is magical. Not a single one is the same. And you see the reflections in the water. It's what you see in the water is the sky. And that's what I see when I paint. reflections of different things, and how it appeals to me is one thing, how it appeals to someone else. And I do it for personal amusement and enjoyment, and I really enjoy it. What is a leader? Leadership is a tautology. It defines itself. It means in front. Going along to get along doesn't make you a leader. And one of the things I've been working on of late is trying to encourage more people to speak to the needs of society, to the extent that you don't have to be elected to do that. You don't have to be appointed to do that. That appointment comes the day you were born. That's one of the things that helped me so much in Korea, to recognize that we are multi-people. There's only one race. That's the human race. The only one. Now, it takes years for some people to even contemplate it. Contemplation is one thing, understanding is another. And I think I'm spending a great deal of my time now trying to do both.